This morning, I want to talk to you briefly from the subject titled Getting Unstuck. We talked about getting unstuck part one last week. And so this week, we're going to continue that. Who was in Bible study on Zoom last Tuesday? If you was, say yes. So last Tuesday, this few days ago, I talked to you about signs that you need to wait. Signs that you need to wait. And so today, we're going to be dealing with signs that you need to move. Signs that you need to move. The book of Hebrews, chapter 11, from verse 6. Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 6. Hebrews 11 and 6. It's also on the screen. And without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. For whoever would, somebody say whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. The KJV says, but without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently. There's a reward for diligently. That means you take your time with it. Diligently seek him. The easy version says, unless we trust God, it is impossible for us to make God happy. Anyone who comes to God must believe that God is there. They must also believe that God helps everyone who wants to know him. Hebrews 11, verse 6. Now let's go to James chapter 2, the book of James chapter 2 from verse 14 to 17. The book of James chapter 2 from verse 14 to 17. What good is it, my brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, be warmed and filled without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So also faith by itself does not have works. If it does not have works, is dead. The question of the day is, what does these two verses have to do with getting unstuck? In the previous week, we solidified some truths about being unstuck from the story of the woman with the issue of blood. We found that in Mark chapter 5 from verse 25 to 34. First, we demystified the fact of feeling stuck. I said fact because there's a difference between fact and truth. Something can be a fact and not be truth. We talked about this woman that had an infirmity, a bleeding issue for 12 years. 12 years of dealing with the same thing. Hearing from physicians that it's not possible, we cannot fix this. There's no medication for this. There's no shot for this. There's no vaccination for this. And over 12 years, hearing the same response. Imagine her feeling stuck. Feeling stuck. And anybody would have decided to accept that diagnosis of stuck. But she decided not to. And then she spoke to herself. She said, if I may but touch the hem of his garments, then I would be made whole. Even though by law she was considered unclean and was not meant to be outside touching people or things, for anything she touched would be considered unclean. And so we now see that she touched Jesus. Just recapping last week. She touched Jesus, and Mark 5 and 29 says, and immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. But here's the key. She felt it in her body that she was healed, but she was not the only one feeling. Because if you look at verse 30 says, Jesus, perceiving in himself. So not only was she feeling something, Jesus was feeling something too. Perceiving in himself that power had gone out from him, immediately turned about in the crowd and said, "Who touched my garment?" And his disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing around you, and yet you say, 'Who touched me?'" Many times we skip this critical part. She was not the only one that touched Jesus. For the disciples to have to tell him that you see the crowds are around you and they're touching you, they're pushing around you. Because you understand the context of this is a ruler named Jairus had came to Jesus and said, come heal my daughter. My daughter's at the point of death. And a crowd was already following them before this woman touched Jesus. So there were people all around Jesus. There were people touching Jesus, pressing against Jesus. There were people in the presence of Jesus, but presence does not equate to faith. You can have presence and no faith. You can have presence. And so Jesus perceived that faith had touched him. And he began to look for faith and found none. Verse 32 and 33 says, and he looked around to see who had done it. But the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. People were touching Jesus, Minister Israel. But it took a special person that touched him that made Jesus say, I'm looking for who touched me. Minister Israel, can you stand right here? Let me get about 5 of y'all quickly. Come on. Let me get about 2 men. Just so Minister Deja does not call my phone online. Y'all are going to be the crowd pressing against Jesus. Just stand by him. Surround him as close as you can. Come on, surround him. Face this way. They're pressing against Jesus. But it took a woman. Who wanted to be a woman with the issue of blood? Yes. It took a woman that touched him. Go ahead, just slap him right here. Bam. Now, Jesus is wondering who. All these people have access in the presence of Jesus. They're touching, they're moving, they're shoving, they're kicking, they're pressing against him, but it didn't get his attention. You're in the presence of God and still don't have his. Because there's no faith, you see? Because it's only faith that gets the attention of Jesus. They're touching all around him, and he's just going about his business until one touch that will make him stop in his track to say, who touched me? And you got to think, he's looking, and the people that are around him, he couldn't identify. It wasn't you. You can go back to your seat. It wasn't you. You can go back. It wasn't you. He's looking. He's like, who touched me? Who touched me? Who touched me? I know you're in my presence, but you didn't touch me. I know you're touching my clothes, but you didn't touch me. And he had to turn around. And the woman comes. And she says, it's me. I wonder if there's anybody in here that you're in the presence of Jesus. You come to church, you come to worship night, come to DFW Cry, having a good old time. and you have allowed goosebump to become your certificate of an encounter. You allowed goosies. How was church? Church was good, but it didn't change your life. The only way you can know that you had touched Jesus is who you were before the touch. Got to be different after the touch. She touched. Now look at Jesus' response in verse 34. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith." She touched with her hands, her physical hands. But he says, "Your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." The first verse I read for you was Hebrews 11:6 that says, "And without faith it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him." Who knew faith could make someone well? Here's a theological question that I want you to think about. At what point was the faith enacted? Was it when she thought it or when she touched? At what point did it become faith? Was it her thinking that if I may but touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole? Was that the point of faith? Or was it the point when she worked the... To properly answer this question, we must first define faith. Faith is defined in the book of Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. It says in Hebrews 11:1, Hebrews, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." Another version says evidence. The question is faith all about the thought process? If you can think it, imagine it, is that faith? Let's keep reading. From verse 2 to 6. "For by it the people of old received their commendation. By faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible. By faith Abel offered to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which he was commended as righteous, God commending him by accepting his gift. And through his faith, though he died, he still speaks." Let's keep going. "By faith, Enoch was taken up so that he should not see death, and he was not found because God had taken him. Now, before he was taken, he was commended as having pleased God." We're given this hall of fame of faith in Hebrews 11. Let's go to verse 6. "And without faith." Y'all read that together. 1 to go. Now let's keep going. Look at verse 7. "By faith," now it gives another name, "Noah, being warned by God concerning events as yet unseen," he had never seen that before, "in reverent fear, constructed an ark for the saving of his household. By this he condemned the world and became an heir of the righteousness that comes by faith." Verse 8. "By faith, Abraham," another name, "obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance." And did he just stay there? What does obedient look like? He went out. He worked, not knowing where he was going. Verse 9. "By faith, he went to live in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise." And last verse, "For he was looking forward to the city that has foundation, whose designer and builder is God. I want you to see a recurring theme. There's a recurring theme there. Here it is. By faith, work. Oh, Lord. Look at your neighbor, tell your neighbor, say, by faith, work. That neighbor did not respond. Look at the other neighbor. Look at the other neighbor, and somebody just got offended. Look at the other neighbor. Look at the other neighbor. Look at the other neighbor. Say, neighbor, by faith, work. Work, work. By faith, work. You see, to exercise faith is to have confidence in an expectation without visible proof that it would happen. I'm going to say that again for those watching online. To exercise faith is to have confidence in an expectation without visible proof that it will happen. In other words, faith is acting on what you believe. Faith is acting on what you believe. Where there is no action, there are only words. Faith is an action. Faith is acting on what, somebody type that in the comments. Faith is acting on what you believe. Faith is acting on what you believe. My son believes that he's paying bills in their house. And this morning he acted on what he believed. I was in the kitchen making some tea this morning. And he wanted to see me make the tea. And I told him to go get a shower. And my 5-year-old told me, well, Daddy, I kind of want to watch you make the tea. And plus, if I'm going to take a shower, I don't want you to see me naked. I had to make sure he was talking to me. You don't want me to see you naked. And that's what his mama said. I went to her and I went to tell her. I was like, your son. Look what your son said to me. And she said, what should you say right now? He's getting older. I said, boy, the circumference of your stature is not big enough for you to be telling me what not and what to look at. You are still a small boy. And plus, you need my help. You don't clean all the way well. You can't even reach the towel. But see, he acted on what he believed. And so I was like, you go ahead. Go ahead. You want to take a shower by yourself? Go ahead. But when you get done taking that shower, go in the kitchen and make me a meal. And when you get done making the meal, get in that car and go get a job. And when you get done getting a job, bring the money and come pay some bills. But I recognized that he was in a season of maturity where he had, because we told him, don't come in the room if Daddy's taking a shower. He wanted to practice what he believed. But it made my heart happy because at the minimum, he was practicing what he saw that his daddy did. Oh, how pleasant would it be if children of God can practice what they believe. It was cute to watch. Say, oh my God, I remember carrying this 4-pound baby born in a NICU. But he's practicing adulthood. Imagine how God would smile if we just practiced being like Christ more. Faith is acting on what you believe. This is what Brother James was telling us about in James 2:14 and 17. He says, what good is it, brothers, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can that faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, be warmed. This is the same thing as Instagram and Facebook, my thoughts and prayers. Nobody actually prays. It just tells you thoughts and prayer. That typing was the prayer right there. My thoughts and prayer. It says, without giving them the things needed for the body, what good is that? So faith by itself, if it has no works, is dead. I want to clarify here that James is not contradicting Paul. Paul said that we are saved by grace through faith, not by works, lest any man should boast. The work for our salvation was done and completed through Jesus Christ. But the work for our Christian living, as a result of accepting Christ, should be seen in us, through us. This is what Jesus was talking about when he says, so let your light shine before who? Men. That they may see what? Your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. There are works post-salvation that you should be doing as a Christian. But the work pre-salvation was completed in Jesus Christ. In other words, there was nothing you can do to save yourself from sin. Jesus did that. Post-salvation, work. Does that make sense? Work. Work. Somebody shout work. Work. The woman with the issue of blood first spoke to herself that if I may just touch the hem, I will be made whole. She had not touched yet, nor did Jesus make an altar call. She saw the crowds. They were already there. But it didn't stop her from moving. In other words, she saw that season in her life as a point and a sign to move, to work that faith that she thought of. And I'm not sure if she would have gotten any other opportunity. Any other time, she probably would have got caught in public, going around trying to touch people. But will, determination, mixed with action, became the perfect intersection for a breakthrough. This past Tuesday, I spoke to you virtually on the signs that you need to wait. And I told you the 4 signs. I won't tell you again right now. Sign number 1 is you're not hearing from God. Signs that you need to wait. And we'll go more in depth with this on Tuesday Bible study. I'm just going briefly over it. Sign number 2, you have a plan B, and that plan B is God. Not hearing from God is never a sign to move. And if God is your plan B, that is certainly not a sign to move. Sign number 3, you have no peace about the move. And of course, sign number 4, the move would take you away from God. Here are the signs that you need to move. Signs that you need to work your faith. Work your faith. Many times, the best analogy I can give for this, many times we treat faith like request. When in reality, faith is action. Faith like request is me going to my wife and I'm saying, baby, I want to marry you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And sometimes we make the request to become the results. In other words, because I told you I want to marry you, in my mind, now we're married. Most people who fall into premarital sex are those who are already engaged. Because something about me asking you made me think I got it. What if the woman with the issue of blood said to herself, well, I thought to myself that if I touched the hem of his garments, I'll be made whole. That ought to be enough. That's faith, Maybe I want to marry you. That's faith. If I touch him, I'll be healed. That's faith. But there was something about her walking towards him having to scoot past some people, move through the crowds. The Bible says she pressed her way. That pressed her way, that is the work that many of us are unwilling to do. Well, God, I need you to heal my body. Okay. And God says, I need you to stop eating candy. I need you to change your diet. I need you to not put too much stress on yourself. No, God, no. Forget about that. I'm going to just stand right here. By faith, we can stand and we can pray for hours. God, oh, yes, do it. Breakthrough, breakthrough, breakthrough. Lord, I need my career for change. Okay, have anybody looked at your resume? God, you say you open doors that no man has closed. In the name of Jesus, breakthrough, 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 breakthrough. Did you apply for the job, though? Christians are sometimes the most delusional. That you are so much in faith that you believe God will move past your work. Lord, I want you to change our marriage. I want you to heal our marriage. You're not intimate. You talk to her with disrespect. You talk to him with disrespect. And you're praying that God will heal it. And God says, within this marriage, this needs to work. Study shows that many times people who are Christians and married have the least sexual intercourse. There are married couples that ain't touched each other in 6 years. While the ones that are single in the church are the ones that don't know how to keep their hands together. But then they get married and now they don't know how to keep their hands together. Because we have so much faith. A lot of faith. No work. Lord, I need you to really come through for me in this season. I'm writing this essay and I really want God to come. Well, stop writing your essay with ChatGPT. Actually study so you can pass. Use Grammarly. Minister Joseph, you are totally wrong for making me laugh on live. This is the key. I was not expecting that. I'm usually professional. This is the key. We have to be able to practice this. I'm serious, y'all. We can't have so much faith. There's no work to back it. We need work to back our faith. We need work to back it. You got to go out of that comfort zone. Signs that you need to move. Number one, you've heard from God. Number two, there is no plan B. Number three, you have peace about the move. Number four, the move draws you closer to God and to the will of God. It's the same. It's the same thing. Just flip it. Number one, you have heard from God. Number two, there's no plan B. Those online, I'm jealous of them. They just pause it and be like, all right, well, okay, play. Number three, you have peace about the move. Number four, the move draws you closer to God or to the will of God. And so here's the question. How then, look at your neighbor and say, how then should we move? Many times, what we call stuck is simply this. What are these? Cycles. You know, like everybody ever had a maybe all of y'all got good Wi-Fi. Anybody ever had a buffering video before? Yeah. What do you do when the video begins to buffer? You pause. Who said refresh? When you have a video that's buffering, the number one thing you want to do is to either pause it or to what? Refresh it. When life is buffering, you need a reset move. In other words, when you are buffering, that means whatever pattern you're dealing with. I want to show y'all this in practical sense. If I'm buffering and nothing is working, the only way I can be able to get out of this mess, I have to create a new pattern. It's just making sense. If you're buffering and you're like, I keep being in this cycle, that means I have to at some point break out and create a new pattern. The question is, what is your new pattern? A new pattern for your faith can be a new scenario, a new experience, a coach, a mentor, a new environment. You see, there are many things that are not spiritually based, but principles based. In other words, the action of faith can lead to spiritual advancement, but the action is still a physical one. The lady moving through the crowd, the woman with the issue of blood, nothing about that was supernatural. She was walking. She didn't float. She did not disappear and appear in front of Jesus. The action that led to her faith was a physical action. Somebody say physical. But when she made the touch, a spiritual transformation happened in her life that manifested in the form of a physical healing. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you got to try something new. Sometimes we're stuck in our perspective. If God would heal me, he can only do it this way. If God would save me, he can only do it this way. If God will provide for me, he can only do it this way. And the problem is your way has got you in a loop. I'm one deep. It's the only friends I can keep. God, I'm in a season of my life where there's no new friends. Well, the ones you have got you in broke. The ones you have got you in the same loop. Why can't you try something new? Try a new friend. Look at them and say, try a new friend. Try a new friend. Try a new friend. There are 80-year-old people making friendships. You ain't 50 yet. You ain't 30 yet. And you're talking about no new friends? If all your friends are on the same level, you're bound to fail. You need friendships, relationships have to form in 3 tiers. You need people that are doing more than you. You need people that are doing same with you, and you need people that are doing less. The same encourages you. The more inspires. And then you inspire the less. In other words, in all 3 levels, there's discipleship. If all your relationships are on same, that means you're not growing. And if all your relationship are less, you are definitely not growing. If you are the star in every room, it will be like a big fish in a small tank. You're the smallest one. Out of all your friends, you're the one that got the most money. The most. That is a destiny going to failure. Because you need people that got more. It's just making sense. Try something new. Are you feeling stuck in your career? Have you considered a career coach? Centers like Workforce Solutions have free career coaches. Have you considered a mentor? Have you considered catch this, attaining a new skill? How do you want God to promote you and you have not attained a new skill or expertise or certificate? Maybe you can't afford going to college for 4 years. Can you get a certificate in something? Can you learn something new? Is this making sense? You always want to make sure that you are a person of value. Somebody say new. New and new, new. If the world is moving towards AI, do you still think it's demonic? Or are you going to learn to master it? Learn something new. You need a change in your career? Learn something what? New. Have you considered attending a career fair? There are free ones every week. Every day. Have you considered following up with people that email you? You want to connect with more professionals and you have an Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and no LinkedIn. You post more on Instagram than you do on your LinkedIn. But you want growth in your career. Ooh, I can feel the butts clenching. That time spent praying this morning was helpful. Have you considered getting your resume checked? Not by AI, by a person that's a human being that does this professionally. Have you given somebody your resume and say, hey, can you help me refine this? Are you feeling stuck in your finances? Have you considered a financial coach? Catch this. Have you considered downsizing and reducing your expenses? 5 years ago, we made a decision. I started cutting my own hair, now my son's hair. When the barbers decided to start charging 50, I decided to start paying myself 50. I thought, well, if he getting paid 50, I would pay myself. It saved us a lot of money for 5 years. I can count how many times I've had a haircut from somebody. Have you considered downsizing? You want to buy an outfit for every event. You got more cologne bottles than diplomas. You'll be all right. We'll have a guest speaker, don't worry. Have you considered downsizing? Some of us we're living on a faith level that our work cannot do. You're living by faith beyond your work. Got a house you can't afford, a car you can't afford. You're living by faith, but your work does not line up with that. Why would you have your hair done for nothing productive? It's not you, sister. Oh, God. She started doing her hair, Lord. It's not even you. You just made eye contact with me, God. Brother Avery, you got to pray for me harder, man. It's not you. We just locked eyes and she went, oh. I promise you I'm a nice guy. It's the truth, though. Why would you get dressed up just to go to the store? Like the point I'm trying to make is we package ourselves to be unproductive. If you're gonna have faith, let the faith match up to the work. Let the work and let them be coincide together. You feel stuck? Have you considered getting a new job? Some of us, the job you're getting paid right now, it cannot afford for you to even have a savings account. You need confirmation? You might need to get a new job. Don't quit first. Don't quit. Or or is there a certificate that you can get that will add value to your employer, that will increase your earning? Is there a new skill? I'm trying to get you to think, is this helping you? We could talk about faith and we could talk about the biblical perspective, but if you don't leave with the practical of how to deal with the biblical, you're just going to go home hyped with the Holy Ghost and come back next week the same. Have you considered selling your solution? Even sometimes you might need some money selling some of the things that you don't have. Some of us, we have clothes that we're still waiting by faith to fit. Let it go. Let it go. Let that be your confirmation. Let it go. That kid size shirt is not yours. Let it go. I should have added 30 more minutes to my prayer. I don't think. You got shoes that don't fit you anymore. Sell it to somebody. You're begging God for something and money is in your home. Money is in your house. It's hiding. Money on the floor. Money in your closet. Some of you begging God for money, He'll provide with your downsizing. If you leave that high steak house where they're selling regular steak in a nice fancy restaurant, maybe He'll bless you more with more saving. Faith without works, it's dead. It's dead. Have you considered taking a financial literacy course? Are you stuck spiritually? Have you considered a new place to worship and pray? See, many of you sometimes, let me be honest, you may not have a prayer life, not because you don't want to, but the environment you are in is not conducive to pray. It's a real place. Study actually shows that many people who, if you were to do, say for example, you spend a lot of time sleeping on the bed, if you try to do work on your bed, you will not be able to get the work done. Because your brain has been wired to treat the bed as a place of resting. Is this making sense? And so if you are trying to pray in a place where it's not conducive for prayer, you may not be able to pray for long. It's not because you don't want to serve God, but it's just might not be the environment. Have you tried finding a new environment? Creating a closet space. Maybe it might be your car. Maybe a spot in the bedroom. Whatever it is, have you designated a place to say, this is going to be for me and God? You might need that. I feel stuck spiritually. Have you tried something new? There's no sin in having an instrumental. Have you tried saying, maybe I'm going to play some instrumental. Maybe I'm going to put some time apart on this day, on that day. Have you tried something new? Maybe you say, I can't do it nowhere else. Have you tried your car? You say, I'm going to drive to a park and just pray on my way there. And when I get there for 30 minutes, whatever you have you tried something new? Have you tried having a prayer partner and a study partner? Not the one you post on social media. Not the one that you say, well, I found me and my prayer partner today. We had a good time praying. If you find a study partner, do you know that we have a free resource called Right Now Media as a church that we pay for that you get to have for free? Did y'all know that? Y'all didn't? Right Now Media, we're going to post it. If it's available anytime, y'all can just post it on there, Minister Joseph, if you have it on there. Right Now Media, it's a free resource for you that we are paying for as a church monthly. It is a literal YouTube for the Bible. Right there. Go ahead. You might as well scan it now. It's free. It's free. Just text Faith-Filled to 49775. They have videos on everything you could think of. From all the questions you have about God that you believe or don't believe, to even all the way down to questions about dating, marriage, advice. It's a YouTube, literally, for the Bible. If you want to learn about a certain book of the Bible, if you want to learn about what God thinks about, and they have kids' videos also, movies, all kinds of stuff in there. It's a little library with thousands of resources. Free. Try something what? New. Have you tried fasting and prayer? Catch this. Have you tried a new move in worship? Maybe you keep worshiping with your personality. Have you tried something different? Maybe every time you come to church, it's like, so I throw up my hands, praise you again and again. 'Cause all that I have is the hallelujah. Hallelujah. Have you tried maybe one time, just one time, to say, God, you know what? I'm going to try something different with you. I'm going to be radical. I don't care who looks at me. Have you tried it to see what it would do for you? Do we understand what it is to make a joyful noise unto the Lord? Okay, let's practice. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Have you tried that in worship, though? In praise, though? Where nothing is holding you back? And you're like, God, I don't even care who's looking at me. I don't care how I sound. That I would scream at the top of my lungs. I would be like David, who was a king, but David was so excited about God that he said, I'm going to dance naked if I have to. Have you tried a new posture? Sometimes we're so considerate of others who can't save us. And consideration will keep you quiet and dead. Why do I care what you think about how my voice sounds? You couldn't save me if you tried. I crack my way to his presence. Because it's about him. You're worshiping him. It's him. How dare you be in God's presence? Worship is going on, and you just like, Isaiah jumping in here sweating, and you just there. Have you become a God to yourself? Have you become a God to yourself? You sitting there observing the worship, you're making sure it's right. And then we wait till our favorite song come on. Then you lift your hands. Are you worshiping a God or a song? You see, my prayer is that we would come into a place where when worship is going on, we are no longer distracted. That's a new thing. It might sound new. That's a new thing. Sometimes you could even say, you know what, today, Pastor, forget every other protocol, doing worship and praise today. I'm going to come out to the stage and get on my knees because we do that at concerts. Hey, hey, and you come in God's presence and it's, have you tried something new? You feel stuck spiritually, but have you tried something new? You feel stuck in your relationships. Have you tried a therapist, a Christian couple friend, or you only one deep? Have you tried Christian counseling? Have you tried a new experience? Do you pray and study together? You feel stuck in your marriage? I want to show you a quick thing and we're done. In 2023, the University of Virginia did a study on couples and marriages. They studied 2,000 married men and women aged 18 to 55 in the United States. And this were the finding. Husbands and wives who engaged in frequent date nights were 14 to 15% more likely to report being very happy in their marriage. 15. 14 to 15. What's the next stats? Spouses who had frequent date nights were significantly more likely to report that divorce was not at all likely in their marriage. 63% for wives and 60% for husbands. What's another one? 2 out of 3 spouses who frequently go on dates report that they are highly satisfied with their sexual relationships. 68% for wives and 66.7% for husbands. Now let's look at the last one. For couples who go on frequent date nights, nearly 3 out of 4 report being highly committed to their relationship. That's 75% for wives, 73% for husbands. You feel stuck in your marriage? Have you tried something new? Are y'all getting the point here? Try something new. That's the key to getting unstuck. Try a new pattern, a new way. Okay, each time I come to church, I just can't seem to get it. Maybe I should sit by somebody different. Some of you, the reason why you can't really worship is the person you're sitting by. Y'all gonna leave me out here by myself. It's okay. It's sometimes the person, because sometimes you're either trying to impress them or who you want to be in worship, you're not in their presence at home. So I'm not finna be out here raising my hand with my homegirl know that I don't even go down like that. You start worshiping and then your homegirl or your homeboy look at you like, now, Jerome, you know that ain't you. We was just in the club last night. You may need to find somebody, find a minister. Minister Joseph, Minister Israel, find somebody to stand. Oh, God. Somebody say, try something new. I want you to try something new. Write this down in your notes. What is something new God is leading you to try this week? What is something new God is leading you to try? Any way that you thought you were stuck, what is something new God is leading you to try? I want you to write that down. Let the Lord begin to speak to you. What is something new? What is something new? Is it a date? Is it a new job? Is it a new posture in worship? Is it maybe I'm going to come out to the front and worship? Is it serving in the church? Is it, you know what, I'm not going to come up in this church and just sit down. Pastor, I'm going to serve. What is something new? Whenever you feel stuck, you got to think, okay, something not moving the way I need to move. I got to try something new, a new pattern. I can't keep going through the same cycles and cycles and cycles. I need something new. If I keep trying to pray and pray and pray and pray and I can't seem to focus, maybe I need to call somebody and call a prayer partner. And say, yo, do you mind praying with me once a week, once a month? I just need somebody to be able to pray with for just 20 minutes. That's something new. You got to try something new. Maybe you're trying to get healthy and you see somebody else in the church that looks healthy. Hey, what do you do, by the way, to stay healthy? You do X, Y, what times do you work out? Can I work out with you one time? That's something new. I don't want us to become a spiritual church that has no principles. You might need to go out and shake somebody's hand and meet somebody new and say, hey, nice to meet you. My name is, I want to get to know you. Can I get to know you too? For my single folks, try something new. The church ain't that packed. Try something new. Maybe if you did more evangelism, you won't be single. You might find your wife or husband while preaching the gospel. But you never came out for outreach. Try something new. Is this making sense? So what is God telling you? Write it down. We got to be practical. Faith-filled church, we're practical. Practical. Write it. Write it. What are you going to do this week that's different than what you did last week? I want you to write that down. What you going to do this week? I want you to write something different. Change something this week. What are you going to do different? Write it down. Our mission is to develop leaders so they can live out the God-given purpose. That's what the messages are about. What are you going to do that's different? Maybe you feel stuck in your prayer life. What you going to do that's different? Are you going to finally set an alarm, or are you going to keep waiting on the Holy Ghost to wake you up? What are you going to do that's different? Maybe you say, Pastor, I don't have no time to pray. You got a 30-minute commute and you have no time to pray? That time you spend listening to music, pray. Maybe it's something that's holding you back in your finances. Have you tried tithing? Have you tried saying, you know what, God, I'm going to trust you with my 10%. I'm going to stop tipping God with my money. We call for offering, and the first thing that comes to your mind is the lowest amount, but you want God to give you the biggest amount. Have you tried saying, God, you know what, I got paid? I'm going to give you mine first. Here's my 10%. Try something new. I felt this strongly in my spirit. That for many of us, it's not a demonic attack, yo. You probably just got some bad friends. You might need to have a change in your friendship. Listen, you can't be friends with the same people that look just like you. I want to speak to my people in today's day and time, especially us African Americans. We have to get out of that mindset of bondage, of thinking, you know what, I can only be around black people. That even when it's time for you to go invite people to church, you only invite black people. When we start businesses, we call it a black business. And then we go to Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A is everybody's business. When you buy Louis Vuitton, it doesn't say white, but you buy it. But then you only want to attract black customers. Try something. You need to be friends with all races. You need to have a friendship for every category. Be friends with a lawyer. Be friends with a doctor. Be friends. Have diversity in your relationship. Try something. I want that to echo. Man, Brother Avery, I need a shirt. I need that to be a shirt. I'm so serious. I need that to echo in your heart. Whenever you feel stuck, try something new. Try something new. Everybody got that? You got the one thing. You sure got the one thing. Now talk to your neighbor about it. Talk about it. What's the thing you're going to try that's new? Be honest. If your neighbor capping, just look at them and be like, stop capping. What you gonna do different this week? What you gonna do different this week?